Here we go again.
It's time.
Nobody can hear you. We can't hear you. It's crazy.
Yes, I can tell that nobody can hear me because I got my microphone off. Jeez, man, come on, fam. Let's get it together there. Let's get it together.
Okay.
What's up,
Sometimes you
my
gotta stretch it out.
peoples?
Man, before you
What's
start the
up,
show.
my peoples?
What's good?
Welcome to the Terror Dome.
Ah,
Yes. What a lovely Sunday we have.
It is. The echo's not as bad. Nope, it is. Never mind. What's good? Oh, let me stop this.
Let me do it. So first, I want to welcome everyone to another episode of the Unpopular Celebrities Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Philly DC, and my co-host, the guy over there to my right or your left, depending on your perspective, simply known as Pete, the engineer, the short poster, the editor, all that other stuff you want to ask. I'm just a personality. I just work here. As you know, it is the eve of Thanksgiving,
It's not.
and it is the last show of the month. We will give out the What the Duck Award, and not only that, it is the corner. So if you want to get on, talk about whatever you want to talk about, like case in point, your fear of the potluck that's coming up at your job, and you have to eat somebody's soup and cheese. Here's a tip for you. Listen closely. If you picture this, you're in your office, you're attending the potluck. You walk up to the table, and then your co-worker, let's call her Patrice, says, "Hey, why don't you try my mac and cheese?" And you go over there and oblige. You pick up the bowl, and you hear a whoosh, whoosh, whoosh noise. And then you open up the foil, and then you look inside, and there is a sea of cheese and noodles. And it's so bad
Was
that
it
if you
not
stick your
baked?
fork in it, you can stir it up. Newsflash, people, mac and cheese should not be eaten with a straw. It's supposed to be eaten with a fork. That is soup and cheese. If you dig your fork into the plate and you're pulling out a piece of the mac and cheese and the cheese is pulling it back to the bowl, that is mac and cheese. And extra points if it's caramelized. But if you open that bowl and you see like soup with a bunch of cheese and noodles, that is not mac and cheese. You're welcome.
Well, thanks, Philly, for the cooking tip. Most people had their potlucks already, but hopefully nobody got food COVID or anything from the potluck. It's so funny you say that because interesting to see what people actually eat. I'm like, how do you eat that? But different strokes for different folks.
Different folks.
For sure.
Different folks.
So if you like it, I love it. Just won't eat it. That needs to be another one. You like
I
it?
ain't eating it. No, I ain't eating it. Everybody knows at my job, if it don't look good, I'm not eating it.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm
picky.
trying to defend somebody.
I'm really picky when it comes to that, but whatever. They'll be all right.
Mhm. Hey, does any men out there shave they chest hair?
Yeah, I shave mine. Trim it down.
You do? Why
Trim it down.
do you shave your chest hair?
I just don't like the European look as far as the taco meat hanging out.
You know, some ladies like the taco meat, you know.
It's not about them, it's about me. Isn't that what most girls say when they dress provocatively? It's not for everybody else, it's for me.
Yeah,
What you
I
about to say?
debate that one.
What you about to say?
I debate that one. Trust me, there's some ladies out there and men that's trying to gain the attention of the opposite sex or same sex these days.
Right.
Same sex.
I think it's more acceptable if you just admit it than if you try to lie about it. And you know what?
Yeah.
I say maybe it's 80% for yourself, but there's a 20% in there. Definitely a 20%.
Mm-hmm.
Jake says, I killed a taco meat too. Yeah, man, you got to. Ain't nobody do that no more.
Only thing about the taco meat, as long as it's like not gray hair and it's kind of trimmed. The only thing bad about taco meat, though, it gets stuck in your chain, though, and it hurts.
Who wears chains?
I do. See, I got
You got
my
a
classic
herringbone?
herringbone on that I get plenty of compliments on.
Do you?
Classic. All the time, man.
The herringbone?
People love the herringbone, bro. Shoot. Everybody
like-
love the herringbone.
Is that like 70s, 80s, maybe? What year the herringbone came in?
Not too many people wearing herringbones. That's why it's so classic.
That's what I just asked.
I don't know when the year it came out, but I just know when I was growing up in Philly
In the 40s.
in the late whatever. Anyway, in the 80s, people would kill to get a herringbone back then. Yeah.
Not no more.
So
I don't know
herringbone.
what style chains are in. I can't remember the different styles. I remember the herringbone. Remember the links, the weave or whatever it's called, the woven little circle.
Weave.
It was all circle within. I don't know how to describe it. Those all these styles are, and then you had the thick ones, the thin ones were in for a while. Then it was how probably your day, but Run DMC, the thick ones. But they had herringbones.
I think when Wu-Tang came out, Raekwon and Ghostface, Cuban Link was the joint.
What are Cuban links? I don't remember those.
Shoot, he named his first album, which is a classic, by the way, only built for Cuban links. Who out there had a Cuban link? I got one now.
Are those Zirconian? Cuban links, Zirconios, or whatever they're. Yeah.
First of all, you know what, man? I ain't gonna even dignify that with a response. You need to get your weight up. But anyway, I digress. Let's get into some stuff here. But before we do, as a reminder, folks, today is the corner. You got something specific you want to talk about today? Again, you want to dig on your boss, your wifey, your husband, that person down at the Starbucks who messed up your coffee, things that just grind your gears. Or you want to shout out somebody. Maybe you got some person in your office section that you kind of sweet on, but you don't want them to know. This is your opportunity to get on, chop those for about 30 seconds to a minute, or drop your comments down there and we can chat about them. Freddie Kincaid Jr. says, I wear one now. Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Cuban?
Freddie, get him together. Freddie, get him together, partner.
You wear Cuban? Is it Cuban? Zirconian?
Cuban link, man.
Oh,
Cuban link.
Whatever.
You know
As you see, no chains. You got 2 chains. You got 1 chain. You got no chain. I don't like
First
jewelry.
of all, why is your camera on your side? You're not looking at the camera.
My camera's right in front of me.
You're not looking at us? Oh, it's weird. Okay, on the thing, I'm looking at it, but not on the joint. Okay. All right, I'll pull that back.
Can I get an apology?
Pull it back.
It's bring it back.
Get that. Digress. So we move on. Let's get some topics. All right, folks. I hate to bring this up, especially on the eve of Thanksgiving, a couple of days, but we are in some perilous times.
They start with negative.
If you haven't noticed or seen on the news, our sitting president, President Biden, gave the order to the Ukrainians to be able to use U.S. missiles, ATAMS missiles, to fire into Russia. And so because of that, the Russian president, you know him as the dictator, Vladimir Putin, decided, okay, you're going to raise me, I'll raise you up on one. He fires a hypersonic missile, a ballistic missile, so to speak, into Ukraine. And you may say to yourself, what's the big deal about that? Well, it's not no ordinary missile, ladies and gentlemen. This missile is similar to a ballistic missile that has MIRVs on it, multiple re-entry vehicles, which means this missile was able to deploy 3 different payloads to 3 different targets simultaneously. And I will tell you, it wasn't a nuclear weapon, but it can carry nukes and has caused the world to be in shock. And so I want to talk about this because this is a definite escalation in the current war between Russia and Ukraine. Most experts believe we are at a time where we're even more closer to nuclear war than we have been since the Cuban Missile Crisis. So, your thoughts?
First and foremost, it sounds like, what's up, Dale? Sounds like Sonic the Hedgehog with I forgot his name, Dr. Evil? I can't remember his name. Robotnik. Thank you. Sounds like something he produced with these MIRFs and everything else. So I'll say, I don't know. Hopefully we got something that can defend it. Your thoughts?
Unfortunately, we don't.
Oh,
there is no defense, at least that's well known to the public, that can actually defeat this missile.
Sounds
one
like
is hypersonic, at least from the reports I've heard. One is hypersonic, and then 2, it's so fast. We don't have anything that can actually shoot them down. Imagine this is one. Imagine if there was multiple that was fired.
Oh, sounds like we're. That's what I can say. That we can do about it. Nothing to worry about. Just keep living your life till you can't live in no more.
I just want to pose something though. I want to just throw something out there.
Sure.
There are some folks, in the political spectrum that believe that President Biden did this on purpose to kind of have President Trump, when he gets in office, have a misstep. Because you look at it,
damn.
You know how sometimes you have sitting presidents do different things quickly before they get out of the house? Most people feel like this should have been done a long time ago. So why would he do it now? Jake Sargent says, I think it's natural escalation to match the hyperbaric drones. That's a mouthful. And North Korean deployments. Good point, Jake. Jake the Snake. Hopefully I can refer to it that way. Good point. Most people believe, or at least the Democrats believe, that's why President Biden authorized it. Patriot battery can't do the job. What's up, Dell? What's going on with you, man? So I won't say the Patriots can't do the job, but it's difficult. I mean, you look at the speed of a ballistic missile, especially a hypersonic missile, is difficult to defeat with a Patriot battery system. And then Donald Trump, or soon to be President Trump, already mentioned going back to the Ronald Reagan days of creating a missile defense system, because I think he knows what may come. So some troubling times. But anyway, back to my quick question, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you think President Biden did this on purpose to kind of, sabotage President Trump's start of his presidency next year?
I would hope that politics is not that petty. I really hope it's not. I really hope you wouldn't sabotage one person or a whole country for the sake of one person. I really would hope not. That would be, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not getting your question right, but it seems like he's basically sabotaging not just Trump, but the whole country.
I wouldn't say the whole country, but there is a benefit to causing some fires before, your successor gets in the seat. Because case in point, you look at it this way. When he does this, perhaps this will convince countries around the world that's part of NATO to pump more money into their defense. Because during President Trump's last presidency, he suggested that NATO was useless. One, because he believes the other countries are not paying enough of their, contributing enough.
Right.
And then two, I think he subscribes to a America First policy, isolationism. And so with this, and God forbid if a conflict starts, even if it's small, that builds up, I'm sure NATO would not be something that's a concern anymore.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Like, talk about petty. Like, how would you do that on purpose? I'm trying to think of a rational reason, besides what you named, why you would put a whole country, because it affects everybody, whether it's scaring everybody or whether it's news or whatever it is. Like, that's not your job. I don't think he's doing it on purpose. No way. That's more hope than anything, but I'll just say no way.
Only thing I would say is I just don't know, to Jake's point earlier, as far as the escalation from the Russians to have North Korea enter the war. I mean, I don't know. I would think, because if I'm not mistaken, during the beginning of the conflict, when we were supplying weapons and money to Ukraine as well as other countries, Putin already put out a red line and say, hey, look, if you send any type of weapons, missiles to hit Russia, I look at that as an act of war.
Right.
And so when we did that, you figure it's one thing for the Ukrainians to go in there on foot and on tanks and planes to attack Russia. But you're using American, sensitive, highly technology. I messed that one. Weapons that's, technology, high in technology to hit Russian cities. What do you expect them to do? Question for you, DC. What's up? Colonel Lombardo. Hopefully you don't mind me calling you that. Question for you, DC. Is America safer on January 19th or January 20th?
That's not even funny. That's a good question.
That's all right. I'll let you answer that one first. Go ahead.
Say you.
Oh, you hater. Scary.
Say you.
Scary. I don't see the difference, to be honest.
That's what I feel.
I don't see the difference. Only thing I would say, just Kalo right now. I appreciate it. I think here's what I think. One, my humble opinion. Did you put the disclaimer up there?
No.
All right. Anything that says comes from unpopular celebrity does not represent the DOD or its affiliates. It's just the opinions of our own, and it does not reflect any of the opinions or policies of the Department of the Defense.
Sure.
Now, that being said, here's my personal feeling from Philly, DC. One, I think it was a bad idea to authorize U.S. missiles to be used by the Ukrainians to hit Russia. I think personally the Russians, specifically or particularly Vladimir Putin, is looking for a fight. Because if he gets a fight with NATO, he's more than justified to pull in North Korea, which he's already done in a way, and pull in China, and the world is aflame. And this guy's got 6,000 nuclear weapons in his arsenal he's just dying to use. And he's got a personal vendetta against the United States. Back to the Cold War. And so I think we're feeding into it. Now, some people may say, well, DC, what do we do about him sending North Korean soldiers in there? Would you expect us not to respond? Exactly. What good is a North Korean soldiers going to do? If last I checked, there's a certain amount of them is defecting to the Ukrainian side anyway. I mean, you think about it. The North Koreans are so isolated. When was the last time the North Korean soldiers been in a war? Now, if they're fighting for their own North Korean soil, chances are they may not defect. But if they're in another country using as cannon fodder, You think they're going to be energized or supercharged to fight? Jake Sargent says 100% agree. One of these wars starts all of them in some way. Exactly. This is almost a playbook from World War II. Yeah, it's almost the same playbook.
So you think it's safer, or it's the same?
I think it's the same.
Okay.
You?
I think it's the same. I'm so far kind of removed from threats and possibilities and scare tactics. It's the same. Like, it's not Pearl Harbor anymore, right? It's not like attacks shouldn't just come out of nowhere. So it's like everybody's gearing up for what? Possibility. Which is cool. I mean, I guess that's what preventive maintenance is. Kind of gearing up. It's just, we need to, I don't want to say stop, but I guess what else you going to talk about in the world? Does that make sense or no?
No, I do. I look at it from a different perspective. I think my concern has always been sometimes a lack of awareness by not just American people, but from people across the world. You think about it, when these things start, it's usually in the minds of men who are in power that have the ability to start wars.
Right.
And if I would imagine there's a good majority of Russians that do not want to be in this war with Ukraine. And there's a good amount of Americans that don't want to go to war. But, here's an interesting thought. Let's see. Orintho, hopefully I pronounced your name right, says our career field is going back to ground defense. He is absolutely right. I attended a meeting or a conference where the chief of staff actually said that.
Supposed to be MRA now, so hopefully everybody.
No, that's different. No, that's different. It is Mission Ready Airmen, but what Orintho is talking about or referring to is a renewed focus on air-based ground defense within security forces. And I know what your thoughts are going to be on that. So
I was about to go.
I'll say this and then I'll pause and let you chime in on that one. But here's an interesting thought with two real quick. I feel a little bit of sympathy for the Russians and the Chinese. You know why? Here's why. You think about it. If the Russians decided to move in on Cuba, which they did before during the Cuban Missile Crisis, let's say they decided we're going to take Cuba completely over and turn it into a Russian state. Do you think the United States would allow that to happen? No. If the Chinese decide to go in and say, hey, we're going to go into Cuba and turn it into a Chinese state, will we allow that to happen? No. So in Russia's case, when the Cold War ended, there was an impression the Cold War is over. The enemy, the United States, is no more. We can sleep in peace. Newsflash for some people who may not know, the Russians have been invaded throughout history, either through Napoleon or Hitler. So there's a lot of scar tissue there when it comes to the Russian psyche, when it comes to war. And so with Ukraine, which was once a part of Russia, and when they disbanded after the Cold War, NATO continued to move closer to Russia's doorstep, taking in the Baltic states and other countries. So when you have a man like Vladimir Putin get in office again, and he sees this, what do you think he's going to think? He's going to think the United States is getting closer, or NATO. He doesn't see NATO as not a threat. He sees them as a threat. So why do you think he would invade Ukraine? And then lastly, China. China was in the Civil War with the Taiwan country. Well, in most respects, it was called the Republic of China, and they're the People's Republic of China. So this is a war that was never settled. And so when Xi Jinping says the matters of the Chinese state when it comes to Taiwan is our business, I think in some cases he's right. Now I get it. They got mod chips in Taiwan.
Mhm.
A lot of the majority of the world trade goes through that area in the Indo-PACOM. But still, do you really think that we have justification to be involved in China affairs, especially since for decades we assumed that Taiwan was not their own country? We just assumed Taiwan is a part of China, just as long as China doesn't invade and take over Taiwan forcefully. Now we're living on the brink of a potential war in the future over Taiwan. Over to you.
I don't have a lot to add to that. Not really up on that part of what's going on with that. I kind of hear what you're saying. On the economic side, I get why they want to control that area. Like you said, a lot of stuff that comes out of there, and a lot of stuff, unfortunately, is technology based. And as the world we live in, whether it's your phone, how y'all watching this podcast, shout out to y'all for watching it, or how you communicate with your loved ones every day, is all technology. Whether that's a phone, whether that's a computer, how we get stuff done, it's all computer based, and a lot of that stuff comes from that part of the country for cheaper. And we do not have the ability, whether it's because how our economics are set up with minimum wage, or how much it costs to create parts and get parts, because everybody in America wants to be the richest. So I take it from that standpoint that we want to control it, because like you said, it's not really our business, but where it becomes our business, because our country will be in economic shambles or in technology shambles, technological shambles, if we don't have some kind of something, because we have came too far to pull back now. That's my thoughts on it.
Yeah. Good.
Go ahead.
Did you want to chime in on the air base ground defense?
I'm going to say that real quick. I think we talked about last show, so shout out to everybody on here. We'll try to start the Star Train in a little bit. So hopefully everybody jumps on the Star Trains, can donate some stars to us. We'll let you know when the Star Train happens. You can go on there, and you're going to have to go on the desktop app to donate some stars if you would like to help us out. So we'll start Star Train in a minute. But back to your question, air base ground defense for security forces can't figure out our identity. That's how I sum that up. This is what we were talking about when I first came in the military. I think we're on the tail end of it. When I first came in and digging, what do they call those things? DFPs, final protective lines, and all this other crap, man. We're on like the end of this retrograding and all this other shit. I think we're on the end of it now. So yeah, that's my thought of that. Dale, I want to get to that because I did see that yesterday. Samel Brown off the cruise in the building. How was your cruise? But that's my thoughts on ground defense.
Gladiator. I wish I haven't seen it yet.
I saw it last night.
I haven't seen it yet. But this, like I said, I mentioned before, Denzel Washington is one of my favorite actors. He's an exceptional actor.
Philly.
So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I want to tell you this, and I don't want to tell you the movie because I think it's better if you don't know. Definitely one of Denzel's most broadening actor role. Definitely. I have never seen Denzel in this type of role. We out here. Reds in the wire. Because y'all still living in that age, but Korea's a little different. But yeah, y'all still in that.
Freaking love, man, I swear. That makes me want to go to Korea. I love that. Reds in the wire.
That's crazy. Yo, what cruise are you're gonna have to hit us up. I hope you're using Valor Vacations.
He went to Royal probably
to help you out with the cruises, but dang, now you're going to Disneyland. That's crazy.
He chilling.
But definitely, I'm telling you right now, I cannot voice this enough. If y'all don't like Gladiator, the original, that's fine. Just for Denzel's role, which is multiple of the movie, which is the majority of the movie, about 90% of the movie. The way, oh man, I've never seen Denzel like this. Never, ever. And it was surprising. It was a bunch of twists, and it was very, very, oh man, what's the word? It was just, I've never seen him like that. You would, at all the Denzel, like name your favorite Denzel movie. Just one or two or three.
Training Day.
Okay. Why do you like Training
Gangster. Day? Well, Malcolm X. Reason why I like Training Day is because he played the villain. And he was incredibly good at it. It was convincing. And I would argue, I can see why he won an Oscar for that versus Malcolm X. Although, to me, Malcolm X's role was better. But I can see why he won for American Gangster. But to your point, as far as you've never seen him in a role this broad, I would argue, I don't know if you watched Macbeth on Apple. I would compare it to that when he was in that.
Sure. I haven't seen it, but I know what Macbeth is. But I haven't seen it, so I can't talk about it. So possibly. I will say for what I saw, I'm telling you, need to go see it. I would go see it today just for that.
Oh man, it's football day. I had to wait.
Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, and then stay off of social media, because the more people that see it, I mean, Dale, it sounds like you saw it. So let us know what your thoughts are. Two things. We'll start the money train, or excuse me, the money train. God dang it. I'm thinking of movies. We'll start the Star Train. So we have a bunch of people watching. Get on your Facebook. Go to the actual desktop view if you have it on your laptop. So you have to go on there. There's a little star button on the bottom. You hit give stars, and you can donate as many stars as you want. We appreciate you get a cool little symbols on your name for when you donate stars during the show. So start the Star Train. Boop, boop. I don't have the sound effect for that, but Star Train taking off. All right, go ahead. Philly, they said, oh, man on fire.
Oh, I forgot. Oh, Philadelphia was good.
Do you think that was more him, or was that more who was Tom that? Hanks. Tom Hanks.
No, he was good, but Tom Hanks was better though.
Not Courage Under Fire. What was the one that he played in with when he was on the boat? He was in the it was they were gonna bomb. He had some of the what was that called?
Oh, you talking about Crimson
Tide?
He was good in that one. He was good in Glory too. God dang, he's got a lot of good roles.
I forgot about Glory.
He was good in Glory too.
I forgot. I will say Training Day because of when it came out and everything that was going on. That was good. If you haven't seen Malcolm X, I mean, that was one of the best. Yep. Kathy said 100%. John Q was a big one.
Bro,
John Q was a good one.
Man.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. Crimson Tide, man, great movie. The only one I didn't like was Antoine Fisher.
Yeah, I didn't like that one too.
He was okay, but I mean, it wasn't really like a good role for him. It's funny because he could play bad guys well, military dudes well. He could play documentaries well. Like, oh man, I mean, those are
his son is good too.
What movie did his son play?
His son's got a lot of potential.
What movie did his son play in?
Oh, a couple of them. I'm trying to remember the most.
I've never seen one
recognizable one, but he's got a movie or a short movie on Netflix coming out where it's his brother actually directed it. He's playing in it, and Denzel produced it.
Sounds like the Ice Cube joint. Oh, NWA joint.
No, it's much better than that. Yeah. Although I will say Ice Cube's son is a pretty decent actor.
I would, I think he. Oh, as a matter of fact, Debt to Thieves, I think it's called.
Debt to
2
Thieves
is coming out. The first one was really good, But if y'all have
Who's
not
in
seen
that?
Gladiator 2 and you're a Denzel fan, it will definitely blow your mind. Okay, let me see what Dell says. Sorry. I enjoyed the movie, definitely. Not a letdown for the first one, but I feel it could have gave more characters background on Denzel. And I think Denzel's good. After this, I think he's going to come out with his own movie.
Got some stars in the building.
Oh, hey now, hold on. We'll get that in a second so you can do your woo. It's 3 a.m. Jen's got to go. 6 a.m. War Fighting Machine. Love y'all. Happy holidays from the Wolf Pack.
Hold on, before Del go, I want to ask him, how do you have time to watch Gladiator when they got Reds in the Wire? What's up with that?
Good question.
Was he watching it on his
American
iPhone
kids
and the
get
DFP?
conditioned to love Denzel. You start off with remembering remember the Titans. God, dog, I forgot about that. That was a good movie. That was a good movie. All right. Shout out to Kenneth Bracely. Am I pronouncing that right? For sending
Kenny
50 stars 2 times. So see what happens when you send stars. We see your face in there. See this? Before the stars, after the stars. See how it changes? All right. So appreciate that.
Hey, what's up? Hey, matter of fact, now we can see his face. What's up with that hoodie, bro? Like,
what's wrong with the hoodie?
He about to get into some stuff with that hoodie on.
Hey, Piano Lesson. Have you seen that? That was on, I think it's on Netflix.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's brand new with Samuel L. Jackson. Is it on Netflix? Oh man, I can't remember Netflix or I think it's Netflix. Really, really good. Really crazy, but really good. Thanks for the 50 stars there, Kenneth, man.
Yes,
keep
sir.
us going. Star Train is still moving along. So help us out. Get on board with Kenneth Bracely. Go ahead and donate some stars.
Train.
Can you give him a woo?
I just did not too long ago.
Oh, it ain't working.
You didn't hear it? Dell says the swing shift defenders keep us safe and worry free to eat our popcorn and enjoy movies. That's right, Dell. Remember, better dead than red. Remember that.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, definitely when you go see it, I want to hear about it because I wish I could tell you more.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, so
Monday.
let's see. Let's move on. What you want to talk about? I mean, I'm throwing up all kinds of topics.
You know what I want to talk about real quick? And this is like way out the left field, but me and my really good friend were talking about it yesterday. Your first day at basic training. I know that was a long time ago. You
freaking hater.
Was that the first question? I got a lot of questions for you with that. Was that the first time that you ever been on a flight?
Yes.
Okay, most people shocked me when I heard that I'm the anomaly that has been on flights. So, interested everybody in the chat, and you can come on the show and talk about your first day of basic training because I'm interested. Yes. I have a lot of questions. So, first day of basic training, first day on the flight. How was that?
I was scared as hell.
We can't hear your.
I was scared.
We can't hear your stream deck.
Really? Interesting. Yeah, I was scared, man.
That's funny. So yeah, that's usually what happens, right? The second question is when you got off in San Antonio, yours was in San Antonio, right?
Yeah.
Okay. When you got off in San Antonio, what happened next?
It was dark. And then
not when you got to Lackland, when you got off the plane.
Yeah, to the airplane. Yeah, it was dark outside.
Okay.
And some dude showed up in some uniform, just like start giving us all these instructions real fast to get on this bus. And I thought we were getting abducted, man. I'm like, who is this dude, man? He was like, matter of fact, no, he wasn't in uniform, but he was like in a polo. And he was just yelling at us like, get on the bus, get to grab your bags, blah, blah, blah. And that was a lot of stuff to do at once, man. I didn't have to do all that stuff, in rapid succession like that.
So when you first got off the plane, you didn't go to like a corridor or like a terminal where everybody was in a straight line, looked like a goddamn Colt?
We all got off for some reason. I guess he knew where we were getting off at. He met as soon as we got out the gate.
Oh, wow.
and was like, "Hey, let's get your stuff and blah blah blah." And I didn't know what to think.
Okay, so a little different experience. So we got to a terminal, a special terminal just for basic trainings, where there was probably felt like 300 people there, maybe 500. I don't know. There's a lot. And we were all lined up in a column of maybe 8 or 9 across. And as far back, probably 60, 70 people back. So we're in this long area. So then somebody, and I was in the very back because we got there the latest. I was in the very back. And then we walked to the buses outside, and there's probably 7 or 8 buses, and we all got on the buses, and you had to fill it up back to front. And when the front got filled, next bus, back to front, next bus, back to front. And of course, we were the last one. So I was the first one on the first bus to make it to Lackland. So you didn't take a shuttle to Lackland?
No, we got on the bus, yeah, but it wasn't like a shuttle. It was a bus.
A bus, yeah, not a shuttle. But
one of those white buses.
Yep. So when you got there, where were you at as far as in the line of people? Were you towards the middle, the back, the front?
I was probably in the middle.
So when you got off, was it a bunch of get over here, and that's when you saw the TIs for the first time? Yep. So a lot of people say that's like, the reason I bring this up, during that moment, there was a lot of chaos and a lot of people yelling. A lot of times you just followed in line, right? Whatever the person did in front of you just did. And if they told you to pick your suitcases up, you picked them up. They told you to put it down, you put it down. They told you to stand here, you stood there. They told you to walk over there, you walked over there. Why do you think that mindset was there, where whatever they told you to do, you were going to do? Was it the scare?
No, I think it was, there was a little bit of fear in there, but I think it was because of what I believe military training was going to be like from what I've seen in movies, what people told me. So I assumed that was just the norm.
So with that norm, and this is my question, it seems like we all kind of have the same story. I wish a lot of the people would share kind of the story, so make sure it's all similar. What changed? As far as when did it start changing? It was like, I'm not listening out of fear. I'm not listening out of what I think it is. Pretty much I'm just like, at that point, I guess the way I say this, at that point, you stop thinking about yourself or to yourself. You just listen and react the best you can. We don't really do that no more. Is that because the thought process of thinking in the military now has changed?
So that's kind of broad. When you say we don't do this anymore, you mean as far as the two of us, or you talking about young airmen?
Young airmen.
Well,
I barely remember the airport.
A couple of reasons. I think one, Jake says I barely even remember the airport. A couple of reasons. One, training is different now than it was before. You're less likely to have.
I digress. Let me get the question right. If I yell at somebody now, they're offended, they're upset, they might go to IG, they might go tell their supervisor. But back then, or in basic training, you got yelled at and it wasn't a problem.
This is a great conversation, because I think it's just the way society is and how we believe or what we think is acceptable now. And it goes back to what I was going to say about training is different. Not just training, the way we believe people should be treated regardless of whatever situation they're in. So you think of military training, we just assume, like I mentioned earlier, that that's just part of the game. You're going to get yelled at, and it's for a reason. It's supposed to prepare you and discipline you and chisel you to be a soldier, a professional soldier. But then you had the scandals and MTI and military, in basic training, where recruits were getting abused verbally, in some cases physically. And then we said, we need to change this because, the recruits are getting treated wrong. and then they turned it into the way it is now. So that's one. And then number two, I hate to say it, but I would call this the cupcake cotton candy society. Because everybody wants a trophy. Everybody doesn't want to be yelled at. And if you yell at them, you're a mean, toxic person.
Mm-hmm.
And that I, regardless of whether I'm wrong or not, want to feel that you are taking care of what my concerns are. So in other words, if I'm speeding 100 miles an hour in the city and a policeman pulled me over because I almost ran somebody over, and they bang on my window and they say, what the hell were you thinking? You almost killed that person. More than likely, I'm going to be more concerned about how you approach me versus, hey, you're right, I almost killed somebody.
Right.
That's just how it is.
Interesting. I just think it's interesting. We take it from basic, you got yelled at and talked to, and then you just reacted and didn't question anything. It's not like they say, pick up your bags, and you were like, but why? I just put them down. Why would I pick them back up? Or somebody say, get over here. You'd be like, what do you, oh, I heard that. They'd be like, what do you want? Or, when basic training, they're like, it's time to go to bed, go to sleep. Nobody was like, well, I'm not tired. I don't want to go to sleep right now. I usually go to sleep at 10 o'clock, not at 8 o'clock. It's time to wake up and go to PT. Nobody was like, oh, I don't feel like going to PT today. So why now? I understand life happens. So I'm not saying if you have an appointment, I'm not saying if you have, you didn't have no kids in basic training. So I get the variables, but with the mindset is what I'm talking about. Why does it change now? And why, if you get yelled at all of a sudden, if it's a problem now, but it wasn't a problem then?
Because of the perception, what we value, what we believe is right and true is different now. In more than just this, in many things. And we shouldn't be surprised, because even before the baby boomer era, there were things they were doing prior to that has evolved over time. So you're going to always go through these stages where things evolve. So I would argue that even though things change, I think it is incumbent upon folks to re-examine things and say, even though society say this changes, we're not going to change it. So what the example I would always use is like the Marines. Has the Marines changed a bit? Yes. But there are some things about the Marines they will not change. And I think it's the same thing. Jake Sargent says, we've lowered the threshold on stress so much it's going to fail people one day. Absolutely. We have gotten to a point where I think folks have a difficult time dealing with adversity, and they lack the grit, because it's always, you cannot have someone get in your face and discover that they are not meeting the mark. It's always to the point where it's, oh, well, this is not fair, or you got to explain to me in a better way. That's how it is today. So, I mean, you look at sports, you look at athletes, right? I want to talk about that too, but we can kind of segue and insert that in there and continue this. Deion Sanders' son, they were going in there beating the brakes off people, and they lose to Kansas, a non-ranked team, and Shedeur Sanders pushes a referee.
Yeah.
It's just back then you would never do that. It's the respect factor. There's just like now, if you had some old lady on your block back in the day tell you pull your pants up, you gonna pull your pants up and be embarrassed. Yes, Miss Sanders, you'll do it. But you let an old lady tell you that now? What the duck you talking about, old lady? F you, you don't know me.
Right.
You like, you expect your elders. They're like, respect my elders. Who are you?
That interesting. That phrase, respect your elders, is I don't even hear it anymore. I used to hear it all the time. I don't hear it anymore. Exactly. But interesting. A couple of interesting things that you said with sports. Microcosm of society is sports. Microcosm of military sports. So two things I'll say. a question first, and then I want to go to the comment about sports. The last thing about this topic. There's something about a Marine that says once a Marine, always a Marine. Mm-hmm. Something about in the Army of being a soldier. Something about Navy as being either a fireman or being a seaman. Do you think the mindset of being an airman was ever there? Like, did you ever think like proud, like I'm an airman, or were you just proud to be security forces? You personally?
I wouldn't say even security forces. I think, and you mentioned this before in the show, I think us as airmen never had an identity, and we still don't. It just doesn't hit the same as saying I'm a Marine.
Yes.
Or I'm a soldier.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I would even throw in seamen, but they have a better shot at it than we do. You know what I'm saying? Just something about I'm an airman.
Or a Navy man.
It's kind of an
Navy
identity
woman.
crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you say I'm an airman to somebody in a public eye, they think of you flying a plane.
Of course.
And that is you being, hey, I'm an airman. I'm a cop. I'm an airman. I'm a logistics person, ground trans. But a Marine's a Marine.
That's the interesting
soldier's
part.
A soldier.
And that's the interesting part, is that exactly what you said. Like, even if I say like, hey, I'm a seaman, nobody sits there and be like, oh, so you drive a boat. Like, nobody says that. But when you say you're an airman, like, oh, either what plane do you fly, or, oh, you fly planes. It's like, why does that go straight to that?
And frankly, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, if somebody were to turn around and say, well, what's the answer? What would you call us then? I don't know.
This is interesting. And Kevin, I don't want to get on your case. But he said,
and I do think, go ahead.
He said, I'm a defender. Now that's an identity.
I kind of agree with him in a way, 50-50.
Yeah, I'm 50-50. That's a better way. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just think part of the problem is we have too many tribes in the Air Force. Too many.
Good word.
And I don't know how we fix that. I don't even know how we fix that either. But, you know, you've got, I mean, you take like the CE career field. And I know I'm going to get the number wrong, but they got like, what, 20-something AFSCs?
Oh, probably more.
So somebody like, I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, engineer could mean you're EOD, fire. I mean, like a fire guy doesn't go up to another person like, what do you do? I'm an engineer. They'll say, I'm a fireman.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody would say, I'm HVAC. They would probably compare that to engineer. But to Kevin Spain's point, when you say, I'm a defender, that's an identity. When somebody say, hey, what do you do? I'm a defender, or I'm a cop. A cop could mean Raven. It could mean a Ranger. It could mean law enforcement, security, PSD. Is that protective service? Something like that. Protective services. It could mean a lot of things, but we only got 3 AFSCs. 3.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's not 3. It's like 1 and then 2 shreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the shred out.
You know what? I find that interesting. Same thing. Sergeant. God, dog. How did you pull
14,
that number out?
My bad.
He said 14.
Jake, are you a CE?
That was crazy. How did you pull that number out?
He must be CE. He must be engineer.
So that's interesting because you know what? When we have like wing awards and we do the chants, man, one career field can have 8 different chants. I'll give you an example. If it's somebody from a maintenance, like the maintenance group, right? Maintenance has their mighty maintenance. Then they say, I don't even know the like airports, bring the hooves, hoo. And they say, spikes, throw them out, or whatever they say. It's like you have it's like you just keep dropping it down and dropping it down and dropping it down till you find the smallest common denominator. You know what? I'm gonna coin that phrase. In the Air Force, we try to find the smallest common denominator. And the Marines are just a Marine. And then if you want to say over here what you do, you do. In the Air Force, you're like, I'm an airman. I'm in a fighter squadron. I'm in the mission support group. I'm with security forces. I'm on Alpha Flight, and I'm a desk sergeant. So we try to find the smallest common denominator to factor in what group you belong to. With the Marines, with the Army, it's like, yo, I'm a soldier, I'm a Marine. Like, oh, what do you do? Most people still say I'm a Marine, but then they'll give you a number. I'm a 55 Mike or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Army does that too.
Yeah, we got to be more specific. Like, no, I'm a cop. Yeah. Oh, but I'm not just a cop. I work in the VRC. Oh, I'm not just a cop. I'm a canine handler. So now it's like, not only am I a defender, but now I got to make it even smaller group. I got to belong to a smaller group where the Marines want numbers and masses. We want everybody to be like in the smallest group as possible. And I think that's the problem. Let's stop talking about the smallest common denominator and just make it a broad denominator and just be happy to be a part of something. It's almost like
you're in the council family.
You go to a family reunion. It's like, I'm in the council family. Well, which council family are you in? You in Auntie Rose's? You in Miss Jackson's? You in Mr. Johnson's? You know, basically, who's your daddy? Go ahead.
Yeah, that's difficult because we've got so many. I guess the counterpoint is the Air Force has so many different specialties that are needed. But I do agree it's part of the reason why we struggle with an identity, at least from my perspective. And I wanted to say my favorites were pull the chocks, maintenance rocks. Or if the plane's in the air, we put it there.
That's good. That's good. Let's see. To y'all points, the Marines and the Army have the same jobs, but I see what y'all are saying. A Marine is different than an airman. Jake said, I think it's because of how many AFSCs have totally separated roles between wartime and home station. Great, man. Great point. Definitely true. Definitely true. But you know what? I guess, yeah. We're going to beat this up all day. Can we talk about the sports piece you wanted to talk about? There's something in sports I wanted to talk about, but I want to go to what you wanted to say about sports. Huh?
I mean, we can insert the sports piece in there. I wanted to talk about, I think, Pickett from the Pittsburgh Steelers and Shedeur Sanders. Like, how childish is it? And I get it. Fans are childish too. But let's be honest. We pay a lot of money to see these people out there. A lot of money. So do I think it's fair for fans to belittle athletes on the field and curse at them and threaten them? No. But it's even worse when a player tries to go at him. Case in point, Pickett from the Steelers. Can't remember his first name. But when the Steelers was getting the brakes beat off of him by the Browns, it was a close game. I'll take it back. It was a close game. The Browns ended up beating the Steelers. Steelers were 8-2. They panned the camera to Pickett, and he was trying to fight somebody in the stands.
What?
Well, yeah, it was on Thursday Night Football. Like, what the duck, man? What's going on with you? You know, spoiler alert, he might be What the Duck Award winner. I don't know. But, like, what were you thinking? Then Shedeur Sanders yesterday from the Colorado Buffaloes was on, like, the train of, you know, like they had like folks looking at Travis Hunter to be Heisman Trophy winner, Sanders and the Buffaloes doing well. And they got the brakes beat off them by the Kansas Jayhawks, who wasn't even ranked. And Shedeur Sanders is I guess there was some melee, and Sanders shoved the referee, which personally he should be, kicked out of some games for that personally, but he won't. He won't be suspended. He won't. Because, somebody on YouTube sent us a message on one of our shorts and said that I think they claimed either you or I were Colorado Buffaloes and Deion Sanders haters. For the record, I'm not a Deion Sanders hater nor a Colorado Buffaloes hater. I think Deion Sanders is a phenomenal player, coach, and mentor. However, what I do have a problem with is when people assume that you are in a specific position of status, you get to circumvent the law of the land, different standards. And so Shedeur Sanders should be what did you call it? Suspended. Yes,
yeah.
suspended.
Don't disagree. They won't make it to the college football playoffs anymore because of the loss, in my opinion. I'm not a Buffalo hater. I'm not definitely not Deion Sanders hater. I think he's done a phenomenal job. But to counteract your point, I do think once you reach a certain status level, the rules don't apply the same as they do to other people. I think they're a little bit different. But I do think he should, but he, like you said, he won't be suspended. But he should be suspended. You can't push a ref. He should have got kicked out the game. Like anybody else would have got kicked out the game for putting their hands on the refs. You can't do that. And it wasn't even like a little push, like get out the way. It was like a blatant, like get the freak off me push. And like you said, frustration boiled over. When everybody's winning, it's easy to stay calm. And, it's not what you do when everything's going good. It's what you do when things are going bad. That's really going to tell the testament of a man or of character. I want to say what Matt Morris said.
All the savages in the building.
Yeah, he gave a great perspective. And I want to ask you this specific question. Seaman tries to support the boat mission. Soldiers support the Army fight, and Marines is a Marine. Most of the Air Force can't explain how their jobs tie into air power. I don't think the Air Force requires us to know. That's a great point. I don't think they require us to know. You just get kudos if you do know.
I don't agree with that. I think they do. I think the Air Force do, but we do a terrible job explaining why they need, or does, thank you. I think we do a terrible job convincing airmen why it's important.
Well, it's how do you ignore it? Air power? Give me like an elevator speech.
Like for me, huh? You mean like as command chief or as a cop?
Yeah,
as a command chief.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of broad, but as a command chief, my job is just to... No, it's broad because I support the Air Force by taking care of the people and taking care of my boss and then making sure that there's things that the formation needs. I help advocate for them, the health, morale, welfare of the people in the formation. And I make sure the folks in the formation understand what our job is within our circle and how to execute those duties so we can help the force and they can ensure we can get the Air Force big mission done. And it starts at the top. You got to first understand what the company's mission is first.
Right.
What is their bumper sticker? If McDonald's says to serve 1 million customers the best burgers and fries, to me, that is your benchmark. That is your true north. And then you break it down further and say, at McDonald's store 305, what is my job? To ensure McDonald's serves 1 million customers to make burgers and fries. How do I contribute to that? I got to make sure they're good. And I got to make sure they're on time.
This is the problem. You are exactly explaining what Matt Morris is saying. If I ask a Navy person how they support the boat mission, they're like, look, I'm a fireman in case a fire goes on and I have to help them put it out. And then I'm a laundry dude. I cook the food, whatever you do. That's how you support. Marine, I'm just a Marine. I do what they ask me to do. This is my job, but I can also do this. You just gave a 2-minute soliloquy about how your job impacts air power. It shouldn't be that long. It should take 10 to 30 seconds how you support air power. But I don't think anybody really knows. I really don't. I agree what you said about the McDonald's, about the company line. And I think that's more the problem. We don't know the company line. Unless you're a pilot. I would guarantee you go to a pilot squadron. I guarantee they know. I put bombs on targets or whatever. Or I'm a taker.
It's not even that simple, bombs on target. It's not even that simple. I disagree. I think because to your point, when you say, Seaman like, hey, I ensure the boat What do you say? What does Seaman
I'm a
say?
fireman. So if there's a fire
I'm
on
a
the boat,
fireman,
I
right?
can put it up.
Okay. So you can compare that to a fireman in the Air Force. Like a fireman ensures that, it's so many different ways. When a seaman says, "Oh, I'm a fireman on a boat," right? Case in point, if you're a fireman on a boat on a submarine, you make sure there's a fire. You got to put that thing out, because if you don't, y'all going to the bottom of the ocean, even further in the bottom of the ocean. But if you have an airman who's a fireman, and they say, "What do you do?" "I'm a fireman." "What do you do for the Air Force?" "Well, I ensure if there's an in-flight emergency, I put the fire out on the aircraft, or if there's a fire on base, I put it out to protect property and personnel." I think there's no need to get even more in depth than that. Just like an HVAC person. If an HVAC person's, I do heating and ventilation. How do you support the Air Force? Okay, not only do I make sure I repair or maintain heating and ventilation across the base, but these facilities support the pilots that ensure that they can sleep comfortably because they got proper heating and ventilation. Therefore, if they got that, they can get their crew rest. And if they can get their crew rest, they are mentally sharp to go get on the plane and then go fly the plane to send the fight to the enemy. No different than an admin person. If an admin person says, how do you support the fight? I support the fight by making sure all the records for all of the airmen and personnel are correct and they are accurate. Because if they're not, then it's going to interfere with their PCS, or it's going to interfere with their reports, and therefore they can't get promoted. There's so many different ways you can spin it. I just think not everybody can convey that the way I just did. Not saying I'm perfect, but
what you're saying is, if somebody asks me how do you support air power, well, think of air power like a small city, and we operate on each other. We need each other. So in this small city, I'm a personnelist. Personnelist is like your clerk. Personnelist could be like your secretary for your boss. Personnelist could be your records keeper. That is me. And then if I'm a cop, think of a cop as like in a small city. I'm like the sheriff. I know everybody's name. I know where the crime is at. I see when problems happen, and I help people out. That is not air power. What you described is how I support a small city stay up and running. The HVAC people. Think of me as a small city air conditioning rep. Sometimes I got to do AC. Sometimes I got to do heating. Sometimes I do duct work. There's a bunch of different things in there. But when I ask you, back to your point, what the duck is air power?
Is that rhetorical? You're
kind of rhetorical, because I don't know if there's an actual, if I Google air power, the freak am I going to find? I don't want to do it because my voice might going to go crazy.
Well, here's the counterpoint. What is marine power?
They don't say marine power. They just say, I'm a Marine.
No. Just bear with me here.
Okay.
When you say what is air power, that's not asking what is an airman. You're asking air power is a thing that is like it's a verb, something that's going to happen, right? Air power is a verb. When you say what is a Marine is not a verb. It is a thing. So I think you got to frame it that way. Huh?
Okay, let me go to Jake's point. There's another problem, though, I see. We have a lot of leaders who can explain the surface, but can't lead in depth to develop each other, develop others. It goes back to Matt Morris's point. I think we might be talking about the same thing, just different ways. He said the most in the Air Force can't explain how their job ties into air power. So I got to know what air power is to know how I tie into it. And I don't think that explanation is out there. I don't know what the duck air power is.
Yeah.
Are you Googling something?
Yeah. I'll be honest, man. Like, I'm kind of lost on that comment. Like, how can you not know what air power is?
Because it could be.
I'm really lost. Because like when you
explain.
Think, if you think of the word, okay, all right.
Air power could be anything. Oh God, dog it. Air power could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what exactly it is. There it goes.
What you mean?
Kathy says air power is used of military aviation strategy and theories to archive national strategies, objectives in aerial warfare and close air support. What the freak did I just read? That's probably the Google answer. I think that's a Google answer, Ms. Kathy. But let me know.
Yeah, I'm at a loss, man. I don't understand how you don't see what it is, and I'm not trying to say that to be that is a dig on you, but I really don't. I mean, just even if you're not in the Air Force, you think of air power. I mean, I think most folks could put the word together and kind of explain what they believe air power means. Air and then power. Okay, is some type of action coming from the air.
Sure. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if you're not in the Air Force.
Perfect. So that's kind of what it says. So yeah, air power is a military aviation strategy that theories to achieve national security objectives in aerial warfare and close air support. So when you say, how do you impact air power? And you say you're a personnelist, well, let's see what personnelists do. In the Google definitions, do personnelists use military aviations?
Do personnel use military aviation?
Yep.
What does that mean? What do you mean?
You just got to follow me on this journey. You saying
okay? All right.
So the question is,
I'm going in this journey and it's dark, but I'm gonna stay
fine. With you. It'll be light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to go through the darkness. It's like getting on a plane. You got to trust we're gonna land.
That's a good analogy. So, let me make sure I tighten my buckle.
So, do you think personnel use military aviations?
Is that is that rhetorical? Or?
Over to you.
That's actual question.
Yeah.
Do I think admin person use military aviation?
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Okay.
So but then you could turn around and okay, all right. I'll let you continue down your journey, and then I'll pull the string like I'm on a bus ready to get off. Anyway, I'll wait. Go ahead.
Not hit the ding. Like next stop, please. Yeah. Do you think personnel they use strategy and theories to achieve national security objectives in aerial warfare and close air support?
Yes.
How?
A number of ways.
Give me one. I just want one.
Personnel okay. Well, let's see. Well, let me back up. That question is kind of broad. What do you mean strategy? Like, can you break down a little bit more?
It says achieve national security. I said strategy. National security objectives in the point of this is in aerial warfare and close air support.
Yeah, that's not a fair question.
That's what the definition of air power is.
No, that's not. That don't mean that because I know you're almost baiting me. That's not a fair question. Because here's why. No, that's a fair question, right? I mean, like, if you here's an example. If you take a clerk that works in a bank that don't issue any loans, right? They don't issue any loans. And somebody were to say, we were able to insure 3,000 people in our city loans to get houses, and they celebrate their victory.
Right.
Then somebody would go up to the clerk and say, hey, what did you do to ensure that they got the money? She didn't execute anything, push a button, or sign anything for them to get the money. But I would argue if she was not there, if they didn't have that job, could they still do it? Probably not, which is the reason why they had their position.
Okay.
If the Air Force did not need administrative personnel or contractors let's just start there. If they didn't need them, they wouldn't have them. They still need them in order to do their job. Now, do they have a direct hand in dropping the bomb or pushing the button to strafe the enemy? No. But there are a lot of elements that they need to accomplish in order for the pilot to get on the vehicle, to be driven to the plane, to get in the cockpit, to take off and do that. Because I tell you, if you have a pilot who has a pay issue, you think he's going to be focused on the mission that he's doing? No, that's just like childcare. When I was at Kirtland, you think if you got a bunch of pilots that don't have anywhere to take their child for childcare, they're going to be able to do their job? No. So to answer your question, it's kind of broad, but I would say yes, they play a hand. Maybe not a direct hand, but they do.
I get that. And that's why Span says we are support functions. We support the folks who fly the planes. You're absolutely right. Nobody's arguing with that. This is what I'm saying, and y'all could chime in. Like, you know what? Hold on, I try to find it.
Scared of you motherfuckers.
So y'all can say what you want. It's just when you say, "Hey, airmen," and I challenge y'all. Go to your airmen tomorrow and say, "How does your mission tie into air power?" And they will give a definition that tells you how they tie into the community.
What you mean the community?
So basically in support function, right? Whether it's medical, whether it's finance, whether it's anybody, but basically maintenance, their mission ties in to helping everybody. So it doesn't have nothing to do with air power. If there was no planes flying, personnel would still do their job. If there was no planes flying, CE would still need to fix facilities.
That's not true.
So is there no base on this earth that does not have planes or a pilot mission?
Yeah.
Okay. And those personnel are still there. The CE people are still there. The cops are still there. So they're still doing something. And you would say they are supporting air power.
Yes.
My thing is, when I look at the Google definition of air power, you're not doing it. You don't tie into air power. You know what you do? You tie into a community that helps support or stay afloat. That's basically all it is. It ain't got nothing to do with air power. Let me get to Matt Morris's point. Chief, great point. I'm just saying 99.999% of NCOs and lower cannot give you that explanation. The Air Force just doesn't require them to understand, and like other services do.
And so, okay, I agree with that 50-50 because I still think, and here's why. I mean, I do agree. I think this has been a problem for a long time. Like, it's always been a struggle trying to get leaders in the field to be able to articulate why a certain mission or job is important. It's hard. I would imagine most folks, until they get any senior levels of leadership, they have a better idea of how to break it down a little bit where they understand and they can convey it to the airmen. What's that?
Or a better way to bullshit.
Okay, I'm not subscribed. Hey, so ladies and gentlemen, the opinions of my co-host does not reflect the opinions of Philly DC. I'm not subscribed to that. I don't consider that. Anyway, I digress. I would argue there are Marines out there, when they say, "What do you do?" "I'm a Marine." What does Marines do? They go back, "We kill." You know what I'm saying? That's pretty broad. And airmen can do the same thing. What does airmen do? "We kill." Technically, they both do, just a different way. So I wouldn't give all the kudos to the Marines and the seamen and the soldiers. They have problems with it too. Maybe not as much as airmen do, because our primary mission is to deliver air power. I would argue in these days and times, it's a lot more broad. It's more than just air power. Air power could mean missiles on target. Air power could mean cyber. Air power could mean, humanitarian stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, you put it this way. Back in World War II, when we had the Berlin airlift crisis, that was a form of air power. We weren't dropping bombs. We were dropping food and equipment to folks in Europe. So air power is broad. Kevin Spain says, I'm sorry, but Marines say the same about their mission. I just think it's easier for Marines because I hate to say it, Marines have a better culture than the Air Force. They just do. They've been around a long time. Same for the Army. The Army's been around a long time. And I would argue that their Marines and their soldiers, and I would even say the Navy, they understand their history. They have a lot of things to put in their backpack to be proud of. When you think about the Marines, you think about Guadalcanal, you think about Okinawa, you think about the Navy, you talk about the Battle of Midway. They have all that. Whereas with the airmen, what do we have? We have what? Desert Storm, Desert Shield, Iraq, Afghanistan. Not saying those are not important. And we do have World War II. We do have Berlin Airlift. I would argue we were the Air Corps, Army Air Corps then. But we still have that stuff. But to my point is, airmen today don't even know. I was talking to a young NCO at Kirtland the other day, and he was expressing his frustration why we don't WAPS test. And I was telling him, I agree with you. WAPS testing is more than just studying for a test. It's knowing your history. I think when you know your history, it better helps you focus on the importance of what you do. Because one, you think about the folks who are before you and what they did. I think that's still important. Faith says, what's up, Faith? Happy Sunday. Faith? If they don't know, then we have to do better. I agree. Since we need to start with our first sergeants. Yes, ma'am. You get the bomb for that one. I wonder who she's talking about with that. Look, take a picture, Pete.
Look.
There you go.
Look, can I tell you what Google says?
I don't give two flying what Google says, man. That's an automated AI. Who cares? That don't mean that's what it's supposed to be.
No, I'm listening. I just find it interesting. I just find it interesting. So I Google, what is a Marine? The United States Marine Corps is a Marine branch of the United States Air Force, Armed Forces that specialize in amphibious and some kind of operations. Basically warfighting operations. An airman. So I Googled that. What is an airman? A member of the National Air Force and Air Arm, and can also refer to a specific enlisted rank. You see the difference there?
Well, one, that's the way you put it in Google. That's pretty broad what an airman is. Did you put in there, what is a U.S. Air Force airman? Not just what is an airman. And see what it says. Consistently. Because airman is not just enlisted. It says could be referred to as enlisted rank. Airman is everything.
But it's funny you say enlisted rank because officers are supposed to be airmen.
They are airmen. It's just that's the thing. Airman is what
Airman is a member of the United States Air Forces who serves in the country and supports the United States Constitution. That's what it says.
Kevin says, Chief, when we were at Kadena, those Marines were envious of us on the Air Force side. They may have their lineage, but the Air Force has people who think for themselves, which is one of our greatest strengths. Hey, 100% on board. I agree with you. Great point. But the counterpoint to that is that is all true. But why can't we seem to get folks in the Air Force supercharged about our history and what we do? Because you go into an operations group with the pilots, and I mean it's officer listed, but I want to go down that road. You look around, you see their table with the mugs, the patches. Same for a pararescue unit. I went to Kirtland. Shout out to Kirtland, man. I had a great visit with them, man. One of the best I had since I've been in the seat. But anyway, they were talking about there was a lineage room on a flight line that was damaged because of a severe thunderstorm. But these dudes, this colonel and this airman were almost in tears when they were describing how they were in there in the middle of the night trying to pull the ceiling tiles down because in the PJ unit, they put their green feet up there and they sign it when all the people pass through and they surf there. And so they were trying to save it because there's so much history. And you think this is a young airman who's only been in maybe 3 years, and this dude is running to save stuff of people he never met. And that's the point of it. You cannot depend on people to understand. We have to tell them, and we have to encourage them why it's important. Case in point, when you think about Pittsburgh Steelers, now they're better this year, but when you join to be a Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a rich history. When you think about Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, they got history. So when you talk to these players, even when they losing, they're like, yo, it means a lot to wear the black and yellow because of the Pittsburgh Steelers history. That's what we need, the Air Force. That's what we need.
First of all, shout out Faith Donovan for the 99 stars sent.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Really appreciate it. Star Train is still moving. We got 2 members on it. Like to have a lot more members on the Star Train as we move forward. But yeah, great point. I mean, we can shift gears because we beat up the Air Force enough. But you're right about the lineage, the passion just to be a part of that team. I think there's difference to be a part of a Laker, to be a part of, even hate to say it, the Cowboys, be a part of different organizations than it is to be a part of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It probably hits a little different.
I'll say this. We can get off if you want. Like for me, when someone asked me when I retire, I'm at 31 years now, and they said, what was your best assignments that made you connected to the mission? I immediately think of the 18th Security Forces Squadron at Kadena, and I think at the 355th Wing at Davis-Monthan. You think of the 355th, the motto was rescue and attack. We make sure your worst day is not your last day. I'm not a PJ, but I felt like I was one. And I felt like what I was doing helped save folks who were stranded on mountains or in the middle of the ocean. You go to an airman in the Force Support Squadron, they're putting that on their report. They're putting it on their award. And you can't tell them that they didn't help save that person.
I got you. What about the 370s, whatever, at Yokota Air Base?
Yeah, it was all right.
Damn.
It was an airlift mission. It was all right.
God, dog.
It was all right. It was all right.
Okay.
No, man,
Matt Morris put a question here. God, dog. Really? All right, Matt Morris, we want to get to this. I didn't see it, but different topic. The Cowboys player shooting a music video after losing is out of the pocket. Do you think players must be sad after a loss? Thoughts?
Yes.
Guess what?
Yes. They should, man. They should. Like, who gives 2 ducks about a music video? This is the worst I've seen the Cowboys in a long time.
Ooh, good point.
They're going to be playing. They playing today, and they're losing. They missed a field goal, and they play Thanksgiving. It's like, stop torturing us. The Cowboys stink. Stop shoving the Cowboys down our throat. They suck. They should have pulled them and flexed somebody else. Thanksgiving's going to suck because I do not want to see the Cowboys and the Giants. They're terrible.
Wait a minute. That is a terrible game. But Cowboys playing just like the Lions playing for Thanksgiving is a tradition that the NFL always keeps. So shout out to them for that. They always keep tradition. So shout out to them for that.
They can have that, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna be a
bad.
You know
what? They ain't gonna have me watching because it's trash. I don't want to see no trash team.
Speaking of, I don't want to miss what the duck. But what do you think about the NFL taking over the NBA Christmas by having 2 NFL games and a Beyonce concert at halftime?
Great, I love it. The NBA. I'm curious if there's any NBA fans. The NBA sucks.
Okay, but wait.
It is.
Just like the NFL that has Thanksgiving, the NBA usually has Christmas. Does the NBA different this year? It used to be LeBron and Kobe. It used to be the Christmas Day game.
Look, the NBA, they need to get their stuff together. I think people are starting to see which they should have already seen. The NFL is the hottest ticket.
I'm gonna throw a lot
outside
of questions
of
at you.
soccer.
Do you think that NBA players are more about money than NFL players?
Yes.
And do you think that's part of the problem?
Absolutely.
And do you think it's the amount of games? Do you think that's
I think
the
it's
problem?
that too.
Do you think they should go down to maybe 40 games or like WNBA type schedule? I mean, they only play 26.
I would say split it in half or close to half, 50 games.
Okay. So I do think the NBA, so they were talking about the All-Star game. Did you think that's stuff about the NBA All-Star game? They're trying to change the NBA All-Star format.
Oh, for crying out loud. Again?
Yeah.
So what now? What, they going to have like rap players on there as the team?
Yeah, pretty
now?
much. So you know how the NBA All-Star is 2 teams, East and West, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they have, God, dog, the stupid thing. Now they have 3 teams. They have each have 8 players. Then the rookies play. So it's a 4-team tournament now. So basically, say it was us 2, Faith, and then a rookie team. So you would get 8 players, I would get 8 players, Faith would get 8 players, and a rookie team would get 8 rookies. And then you would pick, basically the rookies would play West 1, and then East 1 and West 2 would play against each other up to, I think it's like 1 quarter or whatever. And then each team gets more money as they advance through. God, dog it, thinking that it's going to help out for viewers and how it's going to work. So I'm interested to hear y'all thoughts about this as Philly come back on in a second. But that is kind of where they're at now with what's going on. With the NBA trying to figure out how the heck they're going to get more people to watch the game. Your thoughts?
That is the reason why usually every year I always get NBA League Pass, but I haven't the past 2 years because it's just boring, man. I think I am a fan of tradition. Even when the NFL went to their little flag football, Pro Bowl stuff, or, I'm a fan of it's East versus West. And it should be that. It should be the best players. And it should be, that's the whole point of the tradition of having the conferences go against each other.
I guess
this
the problem
stuff about the NBA, huh?
The problem with the NBA All-Star game is they should be competitive, but they're not. NFL makes sense because competition leads to injuries.
Maybe they need to have an All-Star game at the end of the season.
But then nobody would play.
Well, that's the problem. That's just like the stupid tournament. Why do you think they're playing in this tournament?
Well, they get 500,000.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Now, NFL players get paid when they make the Pro Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. They do. So if they're paying them to play, do they get paid extra for making an All-Star game?
Yeah. No, yeah. For making it, yeah. They get paid extra for making it.
So
and then for winning.
Here's my problem.
And then for being the MVP.
This kind of goes to the Joel Embiid rant too.
Yes.
As a fan, I'm sick of paying money, whether I'm at the game or whether I'm paying for NBA League Pass or whatever, for players to sit because they hurt or they want to get rested. And to your point on the All-Star game, why? What is it in the culture of NBA players that think that fans do not want to see defense in an All-Star game? When Kobe's playing, Kobe didn't give 2 ducks. You think he ain't gonna steal the ball from you? You don't think he gonna block a shot? These old school players that were wearing Chucks and stuff, Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, they went at each other because there was some pride in there. They're like, we do not want the West to beat us. Nowadays, it's like a pickup game on the court. I mean, you look at these videos, they see people about to dunk and they stand to the side. They looking like they fans. I don't want to see that, man.
Yeah, I think that's part of the God, no, stupid camera. I think that's part of the problem too. Is that right there? Like everybody wants to just score. Everybody gets. You know what? I got this good friend. His name is Buddha, ex Air Force guy. He still plays basketball. He's like 40-something years old, still hooping at a higher level. But all he posts, and shout out to him, good friend of mine. But all he posts is offensive highlights, layups, maybe a shot, a crossover, make somebody fall. Like, bruh, Throw something else. God forbid you block a shot. Or you know what? I would rather see you put a hand up in somebody's face and somebody hit a shot. At least you tried.
Right.
But nowadays, it's almost like who can run fastest, who can score the most points. It's pretty bad.
Right.
And the art of defense is gone. But yeah, the NBA All-Stars changing their way, their format, doing something. It'll be an epic fail, and then they'll change it again. But it seems like the whole point that they're trying to say is, like, even they're trying to say that the NBA All-Stars shouldn't be at certain cities anymore. Like Charlotte, it should never go back to Charlotte. And the point is, they were saying because these are not major cities that can support an All-Star game. Just like the Pro Bowl is always in Hawaii, but then they moved to Vegas. And then the also thing is, like, they said that it should never go to a cold stadium or a cold weather place because people don't want to go to the All-Star game in February because it's too cold. So many different factors, so many different things. And the funny thing, the NBA's fix is, we'll just throw more money at the players. Well, in hindsight, who do you think is paying the players' contract? It's us. The league passes, the YouTube TVs, the Netflix, the Amazon Prime, going to games, all that stuff. You know what's funny? A different stat, and then I want to get to what the duck, and then we could be done. A different stat is, you know, the WNBA would have been profitable this year if one thing didn't happen. That one thing, I ain't gonna ask you if you know what it is, but that one thing, they flew private. If they would have flew public or regular trans or, you know, whatever, flew regular airline, they would have been a profitable organization. But because they chose to fly all teams private because they want to do what the NBA does, they were not profitable this year.
Interesting.
All right, what the duck?
All right. So if you're a follower of the show, we do at the end of the month, we do a What the Duck Award. What the Duck Award, you might ask? I'll tell you. What the duck pretty much is a saying that you would put an expletive, or is it expletive? I think it's expletive. Anyway.
Explicit.
No, it's not explicit, fool. It's EXPLE. No, man. EXPLETIVE is like saying a curse word. So expletive. It might be expletive, but expletive. Anyway, I digress. So instead of using an expletive, you say what the duck. So it's a phrase I like to use. I use it often. But anyway, so at the end of the month, we always pick somebody who does something or acts way off course, and we give them the What Duck Award. And I use a picture that is popular in most circles of the look I have on my face when I say what the duck. Anyway, so after much thought, there were many people this month that could have gotten it. Case in point, some honorable mentions. Jake Paul, I thought about giving it to him strictly on the basis of the comment he made in the ring with his brother. Well, it wasn't Jake Paul, it was his brother, said he would kick the snot out of Mike Tyson. How disrespectful.
Right.
You know, so that's one. Then number two, I consider giving it to one of our favorites here, P. Diddy, for convincing his lawyers or trying to convince the judge that the video he had of Cassie was fabricated. The same video that he apologized for, to say he was disgusted by his actions. He had the nerve to say it was fake, to try to get the judge to grant him bail to get out of jail. Just the thought of it, right? And so finally, we will come to my winner. And so it is the same person I mentioned earlier, and here's why I selected him. One, because I think that is something that should have been done should have been done a long time ago during the war in Ukraine. Number two, I felt like at this time it's bad timing based on allowing the Ukrainians to use U.S. weapons to fire missiles into Russia to not consider the response from Vladimir Putin. Now, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I would think he didn't expect for them to react this way. And then last but not least, for the simple fact of it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. It put the United States and really the world in a difficult position. So if you haven't figured it out by now, my recommendation or my nomination for the What the Duck Award winner goes to our president, our sitting president, which would be President Joe Biden. So, sir, here you are. No disrespect. Can you see it?
No, we can't put it up.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just give you my rendition of it. And President Joe Biden, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, our What the Duck Award winner for this month, our very own President Joe Biden.
Let him cook.
That just shows you anybody can get the What the Duck Award. It doesn't matter your position. Doesn't matter where you're at. Everybody subject to What the Duck. All right. Good show at the end of the month. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate the Star Train. We have come to a halt at our final destination with our 2 members of the Star Train. Hopefully there'll be more members next time, but we appreciate, nevertheless, keeps the show going, keeps us moving in the right direction. And it keeps us, giving to get y'all t-shirts and merchandise and stuff like that for free of charge. I guess it's not free if you guys are donating, but get the point. You have to donate and pay extra stuff. But yeah, good Thanksgiving. Hopefully y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully your Thanksgiving is full of good food, good people, good life.
I got beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, lamb, lamb, beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes, chicken, turkeys, rat. I got.
All right.
Yeah, I echo your comments. I would say, folks, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, go on YouTube, look on the icon where it says subscribe and subscribe. If it says subscribe, you're good to go. If it does not, you have not subscribed to our channel. Go ahead and help your boys out. Subscribe to YouTube. We're trying to get up our subscribers over there. For those who already listen to the show, who already subscribe, we thank you. If we think about some of the things that we're thankful for, that's one of them. Is that for you guys out there who listen to us every other Sunday or when we pop on. So we appreciate y'all. And to Pete's point, doing this stuff costs money and it costs time. So if you feel like you want to contribute and assist us with some stars, that'd be greatly appreciated. Or even better, or in addition to some ideas on the show, we're welcome to any ideas you may have for topics and hosts and things of that nature. So I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. Call your loved ones. Tell them you're thankful for them. Hug them close. Hug them tight. Life is too short. So enjoy Thanksgiving. And again, stay away from soup and cheese. We appreciate y'all. We will see y'all at the beginning of December. We're going to have a treat for y'all because I will be in Phoenix, Arizona. Yes, your boy is going to Phoenix, Arizona to visit Luke Air Force Base. So I'll be looking at some IMSC type of stuff. So if you are in an area, come by and say hello. But it'll have to be after I'm doing work because I got a big itinerary. So, but I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys. Over to you.
That's it. We out.
Yes.
Unpopular celebrities. Appreciate it. Miss Kathy says she can't wait. Make sure you're nice to Miss Kathy.
Miss Kathy's awesome, man. She was
make sure
funny.
you're nice to Miss Kathy.
Squared away when I was at the 56. So looking forward to seeing y'all. Hey.
Make sure you're nice to Miss Kathy. Miss Kathy, she gives you grief. Let me know. Make sure. Huh?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right. We out. Unpopular celebrities. See y'all in a couple weeks. We out. Enjoy your football Sundays.
Bang, bang, Niner gang. Bang, bang, Niner gang.